Hey kindergarten, I'm back. More about these amazing butterflies. I've got a few really fun things to show you today. I have this great book that came from our library. I would love to read the whole thing, but I think I'm just gonna skip through and tell you the most fascinating things about butterflies. This is called The Wonder of Butterflies. And this says, this time of year, which we already talked about, butterflies are coming out everywhere, but each kind of butterfly has a different kind of plant they'd like to eat. So that's where they hang out. I didn't know that. That was new. This is fun. We talked about the life cycle before. This is the size of a egg, but this is a quarter. That's some money. That's a quarter that's sitting right there. If you look at a quarter, if your parents show you a quarter, and then you look at that picture, you'll say, whoa, that is a small egg. Another name for the butterfly egg is a larva. Caterpillars are very fussy about which plants they will eat. I didn't know this. So butterflies only lay their eggs on plants they know their babies would want to eat when they hatch out. Some caterpillars even use plants for shelter. This is cute, and I've seen this actually. Look carefully. Do you see that little caterpillar wrapping the leaf around himself like it were a blanket? How cute is that? Even though butterflies might lay a lot of eggs, guess what? They only lay one egg, one, on each leaf. Why do you think they only put one on each leaf? So when they hatch out, what are they gonna wanna do? We learned that in the Very Hungry Caterpillar. They're hungry. If you had 10 brothers and sisters eating the same leaf, that would not be good. Maybe that's what Mom was doing. One on each leaf, so they would have plenty of food. It's a great idea. Moms don't stay to take care of their eggs. And this is kind of cool. So sometimes certain insects have certain colors to warn predators. What kind of predators would a butterfly have? Oh, you're right, birds. Probably mostly birds. But you know, some butterflies have colors on them, so when the birds are flying over, they see that color and go, I ate that butterfly last time, it tasted. So it's not gonna taste that one again. What a great defense mechanism. Isn't that amazing? So that's one of the things that happens with the monarch butterfly. We're gonna talk more about that later, is birds have learned that they taste yucky. So they don't try to eat them. One time was enough. It's like probably how some of you felt about broccoli at the beginning. I know some of you are changing your mind about that, but it's like, oh no, I ain't trying that stuff again. Okay. Oh, there's some teeny tiny eggs. Skip this page. Then we know it turns into a caterpillar. And then we know it goes into a chrysalis. And then it turns into a beautiful butterfly. We know that. This is kind of fun. When they're wrapped up, have you ever wondered what they're doing inside the cocoon? I guess they're sleeping in their sleeping bag, it looks like. So when they're inside, they are changing. It's kind of a lot of work. Imagine if you had to change from one type of creature to another, probably be exhausting. So he's resting up for it. This is before, when they're getting ready to turn into the chrysalis. Ooh, I like these pictures because this is the caterpillar getting ready. When it found a nice branch to hang on, it's getting ready to build its chrysalis. It sheds one more time, sheds the skin, and then it starts to build the chrysalis around. The chrysalis at the beginning is very soft. It's very soft, but very quickly it turns into a hard shell, hard to protect it. There they are hanging, and I love this illustration because in this one, you can actually see the butterfly inside. It's getting ready to hatch out. I have to tell you something really interesting about that. Ooh, and don't let me forget to go back about that thing with the butterflies hatching out. This is kind of cool. This is a caterpillar that those aren't the caterpillar's eyes. I don't know if, I'm hoping you're not seeing a reflection on there. You might be, not the caterpillar's eyes, They're fake eyes, which we're going to talk about again soon. Fake eyes to make predators who are flying over go, oh, I'm not messing with that dude. Look how huge he is. Look at those big, scary eyes. I think he had 4 from here. We'll talk about this later, so I'm going to pass it. I'm going to pass this. Told you we're only reading part of it. Oh, this is another one that I showed you where you can see the butterfly inside. And here it is working its way out of the cocoon. And you might have talked in your class. I know my class has talked about, when we talked about the farm unit, how hard it is for a baby chick, for instance, to get out of its shell. If you see how big the chick is when it comes out of that egg, it's amazing. You also probably know that on the end of the chick's nose, it's called an egg tooth, because they're curled up so teeny tiny tight in there that they couldn't even crack the shell open unless they used an egg tooth, which goes away later. They use that to break out. Once they get out, they're exhausted. Once a butterfly manages to get out, it also is exhausted. So this is really important. There's a really cool lesson about a little butterfly. If you were to see a chrysalis and see the butterfly struggling to get out, you might think, oh, that poor butterfly, let me help it get out. I want to help it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because that's part of what nature does to make the butterfly strong enough to survive once it gets out into the world. So once they come out, which is what's happening in this picture, the butterfly is out, worked really hard to get out, and now it's wet from being inside the chrysalis. And when it comes out, it'll sit there for a little bit, and then it will start flapping its wings really hard. It might look like it's struggling, but actually what it's doing is making its lungs stronger. You know where your lungs are? Here, I know you can't see it very well, but here are your lungs. Put your hands over your chest and breathe. You have to be quiet. Those are your lungs taking air in, which you have to have air to live. Well, if you, at this point, were to see this butterfly and want to help it get out of its chrysalis, you would not be helping it, because that's nature's way of making its lungs stronger. So once it flies away, it will be able to survive in the wild. Cool, huh? Hey, let me tell you something else. It's kind of something, because I know your parents are listening, kind of a good message for your parents. If you're in my class, you have heard me say, you tell your parents I said, you can do it by yourself. Don't help. Miss Kathy said, don't help. It's kind of the same thing. If you help too much when you're young, then young kids never learn how to do it on their own. So it's kind of a combination between helping and letting them do it on their own so they can survive out in the wild, which is first grade. Let me see. Oh, do you know, this is fun. Do you know what a butterfly is covered with? I hear some of you shouting out answers. If you said scales like a fish, you are right. Doesn't look like a fish. On a fish, you can see the scales, but if you've ever caught a butterfly, there'll be a powdery substance on your hands. That's because these little teeny tiny scales rub up on your fingers, and that actually could kill the butterfly. That's why if you go to a botanical garden, they want the butterfly to land on you and you to not try to grab it. Because if you grab it and it rubs off the scales on its wings, it won't be able to live anymore. It needs those scales. So remember that. Remember that. Oh, this is fun. We're going to talk about this later. A butterfly has, the way it drinks nectar, has something that is kind of like a straw, except your straw is usually straight. Their straw unfurls. That means it rolls out. We'll talk about that later. Ooh, and this is really cool. Some butterflies, you know, we have animals that hibernate and we have animals that migrate. Some butterflies actually migrate. In fact, this butterfly flies all the way to Mexico. If you don't know where Mexico, we live in New Mexico. This butterfly flies to Mexico. And I want to show you another picture of what that looks like. If you don't know where it is, your parents can look it up and show you. This is a great picture. Let me find it here. So they migrate, and when they get to Mexico, look at this picture. Those are all of those migrating monarch butterflies. When they finally get down there, they hang out in certain trees and they stay there through the winter, kind of half asleep. I didn't even know this till I read this book. It's not, so they migrated already. Now they kinda halfway, also after that, hibernate because they stay there. So they're kind of half asleep. Like usually we all are at the beginning of kindergarten in the morning, half asleep. And then they fly back, they migrate back afterwards. This was so fun, I can't wait. Oh, I was going to show you this because it's so amazing, but I might wait and show you later. You know what that's called? It's called a teaser. It means, you're going, no, Miss Kathy, show us now. And he said, no, I already wore my scarf, my butterfly scarf necklace. We already talked about that kind of cool stuff. I'm gonna make you wait for that. Let me tell you something about waiting. When you have to wait for things, it kind of makes you a stronger person. It's called, some kids especially are into instant gratification. I want it now, now. You know what? If you learn to wait, it makes you a stronger person. Makes your heart grow bigger, makes your mind smarter, make you wait. And right now I can hear you say, thank you, Miss Kathy. You're teaching us about character. You're gonna make us wait to see this. There it is. And we're gonna look forward to it. And we are going to be stronger kindergartners because we learned to not want everything right now. We're learning how to wait. Makes you a better person. Let me show you what we're gonna work on. This is the project for today. I know most of you have talked about insects, and I know most of you know how many insects a leg has. There are 2 sheets that you have that you can copy at your house. There's this one. There's information at the top. There's information at the bottom, and here's the part that you have to fill out. But every single thing that you need to know is right here on this sheet. So I know you can do it. And you know what? You're gonna be smarter at the end, and you're going to be a better person because you learned how to wait to see that really cool thing. Tomorrow's gonna be cool. I'll see you then. Bye.